Are you aware of a digital system called a city brain? China has one. The EU has one. Australia has one. Is there one coming to America? We're going to talk about that next. Hi, I'm Pastor Dave, and thank you for joining me for this episode of The Final Hour. We'd love to have you look at our videos on YouTube and kind of follow our ministry. Interpreting the Times is our ministry. You know, if you get a chance, go to our YouTube page and watch some of the videos. In fact, if you would do me a favor, like and subscribe to them, because if you do that, believe it or not, it does help the ministry. Because the algorithm that's out there, the more people like, the more people will watch, the more people it gets it out to. So if you enjoy the material that we're putting together for Hope for Our Times or for this final hour time together, make sure that you watch so that people can be aware of it. Now, I asked you about a city brain. Have you ever heard of a city brain? What is this thing we're talking about? You know, some people are already warning that the Chinese social credit system is making its way into America. It's already gone to the EU. It's already gone to Australia. And the Chinese social credit score is something that will take away complete control. You see, you and I, being in America, we're used to having a credit score, but we're not used to having a social credit score. There is a difference here. And the city brain is the key to all this. So let's stop for a second and really talk about it. What is a city brain? I can put a little graph up here that kind of shows you the infrastructure, the headquarters to it, but this is a large network, and this network it monitors everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Over in China, the city brain will monitor every movement that you make. It will monitor every purchase that you make. It will monitor everything you do online. It will even monitor the words that you speak in public. Everything that you do, everywhere you go, everything that you say is being kept, it's being recorded, and it's being stored in a data file. That is the city brain. And again, it's already operational. It's an eye that never sleeps. It's an eye that never rests. It's watching everyone and everything. It never stops recording. I'm going to show you a video here in a minute. You can get a firsthand understanding of it, but just kind of get this picture. Everything that you say, do, everywhere you go is being monitored, being recorded, and being stored in a database. Now, again, let me show you a video. It's about a 2-minute video. But I want you to experience this from a very first-hand point of view. This is a Chinese attorney that's kind of letting us share behind the scenes what it looks like to be living in China under this city brain. Watch this video.
A green code on the health app is also required for buses and subways. Even access to apartments is now monitored. Everyone in Beijing lives within a gated compound, with only one entrance. There are checkpoints everywhere. Wang Yu lives in the Beijing suburbs. Only after a heated argument do the security guards allow her into her own building without a scan. All visitors must also log in. No one knows what will happen tomorrow. Maybe the guard won't let me through, and I won't be able to get in. And this is all illegal. The Chinese government has turned the Corona app into a surveillance tool. Every time it's scanned, names and locations are passed on to the police.
Sheng Dan co-developed the system. It took less than a year to get the first version up and running. Now she can monitor every resident from this office.
我们排摸的这个就是整个小区里面的楼房的一些信息。
We've mapped the residential buildings in the district. Which ones are occupied? Where there are vacancies? Where elderly people are living alone? Where care or help is needed? It's all stored in our system and can be called up in real time.
那么这样的一些基本信息呢，也都在这个微平台上就可以实时的调取出来。
Even those who do not dispose of their trash properly are recorded. Residents who aren't following the rules are captured on camera from 3 different angles. The so-called brain acts swiftly. Whether it's an illegally parked car or unsolicited advertising, offences can be handled by patrol officers who are connected to the control center via a mobile app.
居村的干部或者是我们居村里面的志愿者发现问题
As soon as the squads and volunteers in residential districts spot an issue, they can report it and upload footage. They take a photo, report the issue, and then our system automatically decides which department to forward the matter to.
一个区分这个事项可能是由哪个部门进行有效的一个处理的。
The brain in Shanghai's Pudong district is just one component to the overarching surveillance plan the Chinese government is pushing across the country. The goal is to have complete coverage in all major public places, such as train stations, street intersections, and parks. China's state media boasts that police can identify every single person on the street in just 1 second.
All right, so what do you think about that? If you throw your trash away and you do it incorrectly, what happens? You get monitored. In fact, they see that from 3 different angles, she said. So you're out in public and you throw the trash. Now, I don't enjoy littering, don't enjoy when people do litter, so I appreciate that. But to throw the trash incorrectly and have 3 cameras record you and have it sent to the city brain to send you, to downgrade you in your social credit score. Or what about, when you look at this and it says that every single person, everybody can be monitored. And basically they can be on the street and they can get the whole street view in less than 1 second. Isn't that amazing? That's why I want to show you that video. I want you to see firsthand what it looks like. Because in America, we go, how could that ever be? But it's happening in China, obviously. China is the prototype. China is the prototype that everybody's following and kind of copying. The EU is putting it in place. Australia is putting it in place. And bits and pieces are coming here to America. It's not here full-blown yet, but it's coming this direction. Now, government and tech giants, we know that they are harvesting personal data. We know that they're getting everything that we do. That we know what's happening. The government there, big tech's there. We've kind of grown accustomed, can I say, to that. We know that's going to be done. You walk into the airport now, you're being on film. You go someplace else, they have biometrics. Employees are using this. So our world in America is kind of getting used to it as well. We are welcoming in, what we're doing is welcoming in this social credit score. And we may not understand that we are, but that's the steps we're taking right now. Now, the critical link between a digital ID, which we have in America, and a social credit score, it comes down to city brain. And that's what it's called, the city brain. Again, it's a national digital ID. It's biometrics, your face, your voice, your fingerprint, that's all part of this. Mobile payments, again, we welcome that here in America. Government services done through AI, we welcome that. Court system, travel systems, healthcare, education, all those aspects of our life, the digital ID, the city brain plays into. And right now in America, we're just using that as acceptance. We use AI, we use biometrics, we use being online to do things. We shop online, we travel, we get our travel documents online. We show up with our cell phones to board our airplanes. So we're used to doing that. It's just not done on a national level where we have the way that China has it. But again, we're moving there. We don't have a single digital ID system yet. The question is, are we moving there? See, that single digital ID, that triggers the enforcement. That allows the city brain to say, hey, I saw what you did with your trash, or I saw how you jaywalked over there, or I saw what you did there, so I'm going to penalize you. When you look at this digital ID, which tracks everything, it has the ability to deduct your value, basically, as a citizen. Like it or not, that's kind of harsh, but that's kind of what it does. It can downgrade your status in society. The system becomes a judge. There's no human involvement with it. It says, I saw you jaywalk, I saw you speed, I saw you park in a handicapped parking. Whatever it did, the system says you did wrong. The system is judge and jury, and it deducts points from your social credit score. And you say, what does that mean? Well, really, this is known as the algorithm governance. It governs everything. Well, that will never happen in America. We are seeing bits and pieces coming here now. Now, how does the things happen here? How is it different from what's taking place in China? And it is different for now. Again, we have a fragmented system. It's not one unified system. We have bits and pieces of it, but it's not completely controlled by the government yet. We have banks that compete. Banks can compete for our business and our services, unlike in China, where there's only one national bank. Again, we have no national digital ID. However, the real ID is going there. The real ID had a date that was going to be launched, and it got bumped, and now you cannot get on an airplane unless you have a driver's license that has what? The real ID. So you had to get a new driver's license. Now, there is one way to get around that. There is one loophole if you get to the airport and you want to use your passport. But guess what? The passports are doing the same thing. They're becoming somewhat biometric. Either way, you're giving up this digital ID, either through a passport or through a new driver's license, which has the real ID. Again, it's not national yet, but we're pushing the envelope to getting there. We don't have a federal CBDC yet. Again, they have it over in Europe. They're launching it in Australia. It's coming to America, we're told, but there's digital frameworks that are in place for this. To think, well, we won't ever do the central bank digital currency. Well, again, there's pieces there. There's fragmented pieces there, such as what? Well, FedNow. Do you understand what FedNow is? When you look at the ESG score for banks are required to carry an ESG score. Individuals are not yet, but banks are. So we have the pieces in place. We're doing that. We have AI, where AI has a system of compliance, where AI can look at neighborhoods and say, well, there is some risk potential here. And law enforcement, how's that in place now? So we have the pieces in place to be heading down the same direction that China has implemented and is using against its people. So while we have not yet, have this one credit system in place, please understand the building blocks are there, which is all a picture of end times anyhow. We're seeing China be the global digital compliance system. China's launching it, and other nations are following behind in that. It affects your identity, it affects your money, it affects your travel, it affects your selling and spending. It could even affect your employment. All those aspects of our lives are being affected by this city brain and the aspects that it oversees. And again, we don't have it unified yet, but we have bits and pieces here. So I hope you understand that. China, you want to see what's going to happen, look at China, just study China. That is the prototype for what other nations are looking at. And really, when we get down to it, we have the technology to implement it right now. There's nothing holding America back from the technology side to not do the same thing that China is doing. It just takes that one moment, it just takes that one leader, it just takes something to push the envelope that way, and we could lose control of our identity and a lot of things that again, our travel, our money, even our employment possibly. So why are governments around the world studying China's method here? Because it instantly forces compliance. You don't have a choice. If they put this system in place, it instantly forces compliance. And the enforcement is automated. There's not somebody you can go to. You can't appeal to it. There's not a human involved. So if they're gonna bring any kind of enforcements against any kind of non-compliant issue, it's automated and it's instant. You don't have no recourse. That's something that government's looking at. It has total visibility, meaning that everything you do is seen and recorded. There's nothing we can do to get outside the bounds of it. That's the way the system is set up. And really, this is why the IMF, this is why the World Economic Forum, this is why World Bank, this is why central banks around the globe are moving in this direction. They are heavily, the IMF, the World Economic Forum, World Banks, they are heavily focused on what? Digital identity. They're focused on programmable money, again, the central bank digital currency, and AI oversight. All that is now taking the lead and becoming part of our daily lives. It's inch by inch here in America, but it is becoming part of our daily lives. Every photo, every purchase, every message we send, every movement we make, again, is being fed into an algorithm, and it's being basically what it does in China. It decides your social future. It decides what you can do. This system is already in place. In China, the AI city brain, it tracks where you live. It knows your address. It tracks where you visit. It tracks how you saw it dispose of your trash, who you call, what you buy, where you go, every step you take in public, and it decides if you follow the rules. Is that how we want to live? And how far are we from that? And what can we do about it? And really, is it prophetic? Or have we been warned in Scripture as we look at God's Word? Everything has to revolve around God's Word. And as we get towards the end times, we see how people, as Paul passed the baton to Timothy, we were told what people are going to be like in the end days. And we know what people want to bring in for convenience. Though the government would say it's for our safety and for our privacy, we're doing it for convenience because we're lazy. And we're welcoming all these things in. If you break a rule, what rule? I didn't know that rule was in effect. I didn't know I could park there. I didn't know I couldn't do that. I didn't know I couldn't, put this flyer. My dog ran away and I put a flyer on the mailbox. I didn't know I couldn't do that. Well, the camera catches me and it marks me down and I lose part of my social credit score, which deducts things I can do in real life, in real time. That all happens. What about your home? Who comes to your house? See, that is also monitored. As you saw in that video we just watched, it will monitor the visitors that you have, and it flags, get this, it flags any undesirable visitors. Well, folks, who's undesirable? The preacher comes over, he's undesirable. The man who believes in Christ, he's undesirable. Whoever, someone who the AI algorithm says is going against the system, rebelling against this. And if you're following Jesus, you're going against the system, by the way, in some aspects of this. Well, you become undesirable. And if you allow that person into your house, they know the visitors that you have, and again, you get knocked down from this. There's sensors in the public square, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. That's how they see how you throw away your trash and what you do. Are you putting recycles in this trash can, or are you putting other trash in a recycling? And are you not doing recycling properly because this plastic is okay, that pizza box? Come on. This is exactly what the control is being given over to the powers that be, which eventually leads to, it becomes a one world government. We're heading that direction. Now, this all is built around something called geofencing. That's another term I want to talk about. You have the city brain and you have geofencing. Let me show you a graph up here on what geofencing is. Basically, it rewards those who follow the rules and it deducts those who rebel against the rules. You just have to know what the rules are. And as you see in this graphic here, that if you are inside this public square, these cameras are watching you. This is developed by a company called TrackObit. Now, TrackObit, its headquarters is both in India and Dubai. So that's the nations that got behind this software, and this geo-tracking basically is cameras monitoring everything. And as you saw in the video, not only one camera, but there's 3 different angles. So whatever you do is going to be seen 3 different times. Now in China, what they've done, they've put in place what they call the People Republic 2025 AI Surveillance Blueprint. Now it sounds pretty technical, doesn't it? What is all this? The People's Republic, China's 2025 AI Surveillance Blueprint. Again, this takes every purchase that you make, every message that you send, there is no privacy, every online activity that you do, and it puts it into an algorithm, and then it predicts what it thinks you're going to do. and it may find you untrustworthy. You went to a Christian site. You went to a church site. Do you realize in China that if you're 18 years or younger, it's illegal to go to church? Do you realize in China they have been burning up Bibles and any kind of Christian literature? So now, if you carry a Bible, you're going to be untrustworthy. If you send a message, hey, I'm praying for you, that would be picked up. You might be called untrustworthy. If the AI algorithm says you are now untrustworthy, then that's what this surveillance blueprint is all about. Folks, this is happening around the globe, and it's piece by piece coming this way. A single violation, and again, it would be caught by overlapping cameras. Multiple cameras will see this. It will slash your social credit score, and you will have opportunities taken away overnight. You may not be able to board a plane. Okay, if I'm leaving, if today is Sunday and I got a flight planned for Tuesday, but tonight I park in a no parking zone, and tomorrow I take my dog out for a walk, and it's not supposed to have a dog on the city sidewalks or whatever the rule may be, and I get 2 dings against me, I may not be allowed to board my plane or to board the train or any kind of public transportation on Tuesday. This is real. This is happening in other countries and other nations. Now, let's switch from China. Let's look at the European Union, because you have to understand this algorithm, it decides your fate. Again, it's instant, it's automated, there's no human involved, there's no one to yell at, there's no one to complain at. You just get knocked down, and I'm sorry, your ticket has been null and void for your plane flight. You have to find another way to get in there, or you're not taking a flight. The European Union, let's talk about them. Let's get off China for a little bit and see what they're doing here. They have what's called the wallet system, the European Union wallet system. And this mandates, it's a mandate, it's a biometric linked profile of who you are. So everywhere you go, you're scanned. If you do your handprint, if you do your iris scan, if your voice, everything is biometric, and it profiles everything for what? For services. It will tell you what services you can have and what services you may not be able to have. You see, folks, this is going to get to the point to where if the central bank digital currency, I say if, when the central bank digital currency comes into place, they're going to say you're going to have so much money to spend, it's going to be digital, it's going to be controlled, and you will have X amount of dollars to spend on gas. If you can only go this far, here's your 15-minute cities, by the way. You can only drive so far because you're going to allow this much gas. And when you reach this much, we're cutting you off. Your card will not be good for that. Well, you see that coming in the European Union when they have this digital wallet. It says that basically they're going to tell you the digital wallet will add extra security. That's the whole purpose behind this. And people go, okay, well, sign me up. I want the digital wallet. I want to make sure that I have, more secure. Everything I do online is more secure. They're saying that. Do you believe that? I have a second video to show you. It's only about 90 seconds. Let me tell you up front, though, this video I'm about to show you, it's 2 years old. So it's a promo video promoting what the European Union wants to do with their digital wallet. Again, it's 2 years old. I'm going to come back and show you a headline on what's happening in the last 2 years. Watch this video real quick. It's real short. All right, so there you go. Now that was 2 years ago. It was a promo on how great the EU digital wallet was going to be. Let me now show you a headline. Watch this. Look at this headline. This is now. This is 2025. EU digital identity sparks privacy concerns. Didn't that video say it's going to add more security to us? Well, now, once they implement it, 2 years later, we're looking back and getting headlines like this, where there's some deep privacy concerns. There was never going to be any extra layer of security for you. That was not the plan from the very beginning. And now we're seeing the headlines like this. Now, in America, we have cities like Los Angeles, LA. LA has developed a tool where they can predict and flag what they call high-risk neighborhoods. The police are using this as well. So AI will look around and predict what might be happening. I was talking to one police officer not too long ago, and they were saying they can almost predict, based on criminal history and personal people and some information they gathered, if and when someone might commit a crime. That's kind of mind-boggling to me, but we do have that here in America, where larger cities are implementing this AI software and using this. And it's similar to the United Kingdom's, what they're calling it the Counter-Terror Framework. It just launched in 2025. United Kingdom Counter-Terror Framework. They're using AI to basically preempt any kind of what they call disruptive behavior. And again, what is considered disruptive behavior? This is what concerns me, because is preaching disruptive behavior? Is praying for somebody in public disruptive behavior? We have no say in it. They are programming it in. The World Economic Forum, of all people, the World Economic Forum just released their Global Risk Report. Let me show you another graphic here. This graphic I'm showing you here, the WEF Global Risk Report of 2025, that's from their website. So you can go to their website, and that's where that graphic was downloaded from. This report, basically what it does, it highlights laws. What kind of laws? Again, this is the World Economic Forum. It highlights laws. It's very comparable and compatible to Australia. Australia has what's called the Code of Practice. And again, let me show you a graphic here on this. The Australian Code of Practice is using AI, and it requires AI to denounce harmful content. Okay, let's stop for a second. What is harmful content? It is saying anything that rebels against what the government says becomes basically harmful content. So the Australian Code of Practice watches everything. Let me show you another graphic here. This is Section B. And again, it's on their website. This is Section B of the Australian Code of Practice. It monitors the citizen's life. Every citizen, it monitors their life. And in this Section 3, I'm showing this, the screenshot I'm showing you here, this monitors how well you treat your animals. How well, and again, it may decide leaving your dog or your cat outside, for X amount of time is a code violation. Not having your dog fed by a certain amount of time could be a code. Who knows? They put the laws in place, and they said if you break them, then you go against basically the code of practice, and you are deducted from this. You have to pay a price for it. Now, what's in the United States? Is anything here that's comparable, even comparable to China's social credit score? And surprisingly, there is. In fact, I think we have 5 different, I'll call them pillars, 5 different things. Again, they're fragmented, they're separate, but it won't take much for them all to come together. So let's real quickly kind of go through these. The 5 separate pillars. The first one is the credit score. We all know about a credit score. What is your FICO score? And that depends, your credit score, what kind of loans can you get? What kind of mortgage can you get? Can you qualify for a mortgage? Do you get credit cards? What kind of car financing? Even affects your insurance. So we understand what the credit score does. Well, that is one thing. What it does not control yet is your travel. What it does not control yet is your internet access, where it does in other countries. Here in America, what your credit score does not control yet is your ability to buy or sell food. But again, it would not take much to switch, and where your FICO, your credit score, or even your social credit score will affect your travel, will affect your internet access, what you can have access to. There are things that are blocked in other nations where you cannot have certain websites. And so that's the first one. The second one I would talk about is banking. Our banks here in America, the United States Treasury has created FinCEN, F-I-N-C-E-N. Now, this stands for Financial Crime Enforcement Network. This wasn't really much on my radar until the beginning of 2025. In the beginning of 2025, FinCEN came out, and what they wanted to do, they wanted to, again, add security to small business owners. But basically, they were trying to make small business owners criminals, in my opinion, because they wanted to put out a report to where you had to file with the federal government, with the Treasury, anything about your business. They wanted to know who you were, what your business was, what your address was, everything about you. It was a BIO, it was a biometric report that every small business had to respond to. And if you didn't, the fines were astronomical. Because I remember, going back saying, were churches having to do this? I remember Interpreting the Times. Did I have to do this for Interpreting the Times? I remember back in January, February, going back with this. There was actually a lawsuit filed, I believe, in Alabama, which put it on pause around March. And then eventually it was done away with. But the United States Treasury was trying to put this in. Banks right now, banks are legally required to monitor transactions. They will flag what they call suspicious activity. They will report, anything that they call suspicious is automatically reported to where? The federal government. And they could freeze your accounts. So we know banks could do that. We know that they can shut down your account. We know that that deposits can be frozen, that they can be held. We know that basically you can lose, access to your bank account. We've seen that happen. That whole thing happened with the last administration, basically. So the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the requirement that they had, again, this BOI report, Beneficial Ownership Information is the official report. Beneficial Owner Information Report, the BOI. It wanted to know who the owner is of every business. Now, a lot of businesses will get an LLC, a limited liability, an LLC. You do that to have separation. You have a corporate veil. You don't want people to know who the owner is. So we have that system here for that. But when the Treasury came out and said you had to do this, well, it took away the corporate veil. It did not really allow the LLCs became useless in a way because now they wanted to know every owner, every senior officer, anybody who had any kind of control over decision making. They wanted to know the address, the names. Basically, they wanted to know who you are, what you owned, and how could they get a hold of you. Again, that was put on hold, but the fact that it was even implemented and put in place, that's one of the pillars that we're talking about. Another one is background checks. Again, you have that for employment, you have it for housing, in order to get a firearm. There's certain background checks that we have, and we welcome them and accept them. In the church, we do have background checks for people in our children's ministry, just for safety reasons. But a background check can affect where you work. It can affect where you live. It can affect what kind of license you maybe get, depending on the profession that you are. But so far, there is no unified federal score. That's the next step. Okay, we have background checks, which we appreciate, but there's no unified federal score. And that's what they have in China and other nations. That could be coming with these city brains. The fourth one, real quickly, is the government watch list, a no-fly list. You get on a no-fly list. Well, that's a government watch list, basically. You get flagged. You get barred from flying. You get denied entry to certain airports. You just can't go places because you're on this list now. The key difference is it's not tied into your buying and selling yet. You could be on a no-fly list, but you still buy something, you still sell something. Whereas in other countries, if you get on a list like that, that also will limit what you can buy and sell. It will control that. So, and the last one I talk about is performance-based social credit. We're not there, but that could be a direction where we're going. Big tech wants to put this in place, and they're slowly implementing some of this. How? Payment processing. They can shut down. How about you get an app? They control the app stores. You ever have your app, where you get kicked out of your app? You try to do an ad on Facebook. If you're a business owner, you're trying to do an ad on Facebook, you can get kicked out of Facebook. You can get kicked out of YouTube, where you cannot do ads on those platforms. I've had people in the church come and say how their ads were banned. How? What you do? Well, they just said I broke a rule. What rule? I don't know. They won't tell me. So big tech is already putting that in place. You can lose your Google account. You can lose your Apple ID. You can get blocked from your PayPal or your Stripe. All that can be done. You can be locked out of certain things. This is the closest aspect we have to the Chinese social credit score is what we're doing here with the big tech and how they're handling online activity. So again, the critical difference between the United States and China is that China has one system. We have fragmented system. China, it's government run. In America, it's still somewhat privately run. In China, your identity, your behavior, your money, your travel, your employment, all that is linked together. Here it's somewhat separated. There in China, it's instant enforcement. There's no due process, and basically you get backlash in public. That does not happen in America, not yet. We still have legal barriers that still exist. We still have a court system that still exists. There is no behavioral trust score yet in America, but it's not going to take much for it to get here. And the one area where we are moving the closest to this, I think, is the digital driver's license. Again, the real ID, the federal digital ID, and basically FedNow. If you look at FedNow, that's a huge thing. That and the bank ESG scores are pushing us there. So why does it all matter? Well, this control could be taken away. Transactions could be denied. Your internet access could be denied. Your privacy could be taken care of. All this becomes part of what China calls the social credit score. At that point, the system would be able to limit what you buy. It would be able to prevent where you spend your money. You may not be able to tithe through a church. Churches may not be able to hold public services. That's where the house church has grown in China. That's why the house church has grown in China. It could freeze any kind of things that they have. Any kind of things that you have that is digital could be frozen. So all that could be coming in the near future. But folks, it's okay. If it comes that way, what do we know? We know it moves us one step closer to the soon return of our Lord Jesus Christ. The reason I do material like this and want to bring a show like this to you is so that you are aware of the day that we live in. The city brain being used in China, the city brain being used in the EU, the city brain being used in Australia. Parts of it are being used in America. Do we get there? How far? When? How long? All yet to be determined. But we know that Christ is on the throne and that God is in control. And folks, I don't know about you, but I'm just ready to go home. But until then, we are going to be active, we're going to be focused, and we're going to be bringing as many people into the kingdom as possible. All right, before I end today's show, as always, I'd like to resource you as much as possible. So I have another edition. This has been very popular. People have been enjoying this. I do weekly articles and weekly videos on Interpreting Times. So if you go to Interpreting Times page, you will see this week's video and this week's article. And once a quarter, we put together a booklet, Signs of a Time. This is volume 6. And some of the articles in this one is the history of replacement theology, depopulation. And what is that? What is that all about? An article on technology, temptation, and the Tower of Babel. We have the Holocaust tattoos. We have convergence, and what's that all about? We have scoffers and mockers in the last day. We have a dozen articles here. I want to get this to you. You should just click the link in the description below, and we will make sure that gets sent out to you. And yes, this is volume 6. So if you missed any of the prior volumes, they are in the Interpreting Times store, so they are available. They're not gone forever, but I want to get this to you for free. So again, just click the link in the description, and we will make sure you get that to you. I want to make sure, I want to bring something to you because I've had some requests. People are saying, do you have anything that I can give to my family for Christmas? As we begin, Christmas, my goodness, Christmas is a few weeks away. So what I want to do, I want to make you aware of, I have a book called the Book of Revelation Made Easy. And the title itself makes saying, well, how can a Book of Revelation be made easy? If you're familiar with the book, I take you through the Old Testament and walk you through that. Well, people said, that's a big book. That's a lot to read. So we actually put it on a digital form. We actually recorded it. And now we also have the USB. So if you want to get a USB, it's about almost 12 hours of teaching. I take you chapter by chapter. I take you the book of Revelation. I explained it to you through the Old Testament. And now for the first time, we have it on a USB drive. So Grandparents love this because they have their grandchildren teach them how to use the USB, and everybody gets to go through the book of Revelation. Each chapter is about 30 or 40 minutes. Again, it's about 12 hours of teaching time, takes you deep into the book of Revelation. We have this for a Christmas gift if you want to get it. This in the store. It's $49 plus $5 shipping. The shipping is domestic shipping only. There's no international shipping included in that. But for $49, you can get the USB and have the book of Revelation and spend some time with your family, understanding the book. There's a double blessing there. Chapter 1, verse 3 is a double blessing for those who read the book, listen to the book and apply the book. So anyhow, I want to get some material to you. Thank you for taking the time and spending the time with us. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Between now and then, I pray everything you say and do glorifies God. God bless you.